cope to. By the way, 14 months of layoff, man. I mean, never been an easy job. So, how were these 14 months since you got released from the UFC? And also, thank you so much for accepting to be my guest again.
Oh, no,
Can you
no
describe your
worries.
voyage, man?
Yeah, mate, it's always a pleasure talking to you, my man. It was a very difficult one, as imaginable. I went into that fight with a really bad knee already, the Khalil fight. 10 weeks out, I tore both the meniscuses in my left knee and also 75% of the ACL. So my knee was already in a bad way. But, at the end of the day, it was a big opportunity. I believed in myself, and so I thought I could work around it. Then obviously the injury happened. Very well-timed kick right as I was jabbing, so fair play to him. And then, my knee basically just got worse than what it already was. And then luckily I had really good surgeons. The UFC did cover the operation. It was a very expensive one at that. But they added synthetic ligaments because basically the MCL blew out, the ACL was hanging on by a thread, the freaking meniscuses was off the bone. There was so much going on in that. They fixed everything, everything. They made it much stronger than it's ever been, but it was probably one of the most painful operations. And it's kind of like you feel helpless. You're just sitting in bed all the time. You've got this massive cast, you're having to ice it all the time. You're having to take painkillers and, all sorts. So, I tried to stay optimistic, as much as I could. Tried to keep myself busy, tried to do YouTube videos. I tried to find different avenues whilst I was sitting in bed, literally not able to do anything, and you really find out who your true friends are as well, because the ones who actually messaged me were in very small numbers, or the ones that actually wanted to see how I was doing was in very small numbers. You're actually one of the only ones as well, like I say, of the many people that you would think, you're one of the guys that actually did message me, so I appreciate that. You checked up to see how I was, and that meant a lot, obviously. But yeah, everyone kind of turns their back on you. They think that you're not quite as good as what you say you were, or what everyone thought you were, and that's obviously, that was very tough. That was very painful. But at the end of the day, I know what I'm capable of and stuff like that. But it's just annoying because I couldn't actually do anything about it. And, I had to just wait till it recovered, till I could slowly start doing physio and stuff like that. And then everything personally, like, I was going through quite a lot of depression, just trying to stay happy, drinking a lot whilst I was in bed, like, just trying to take away the pain. And then, then I got the phone call, or I saw on Twitter first, and then I got the phone call that, I wasn't with the UFC any longer. And that was the biggest blow to me, because out of everything that could have went bad, everything all went bad all together, all in one go. And that was very, very harsh. And, I obviously expected with the Oleg Shachuk fight for it to go so close, and for most people to think that I won. Maybe they'll give me another chance, but unfortunately they didn't. So, I just felt like, crap, I come to the top of the mountain, and I'll go all the way down to the bottom. Now I've got to work all my way back up again. So the only, promising thing is that I still said in my head, listen, I'm still very young, so I've got time to do all these things. But yeah, just everything was very difficult. But one thing is I had very good people around me. My physio, Leanne, did an amazing job in terms of getting me to where I was. I slowly started seeing improvements all the time, and I just kept working on it. I just kept doing all my exercises, kept, doing, like, I was really determined to get back. So, throughout the whole time, even though mentally I wasn't, in the right place and still trying to fix myself, because I was doing, I was thinking stupid things, maybe not acting the way that I am normally, just maybe acting out of character and stuff like that. And then, slowly things actually started healing. I got back to training. By April, May, I was back into like full MMA training, looking for a fight. And then I was like, okay, cool. Now I've got a goal. My knees 100%. I was doing backflips at that point. I was doing, But you know what's mad? That even around that point when I'm posting videos of me, lifting 40 kilogram kettlebells, doing Turkish get-ups and doing backflips, and people still were like, oh, no, he's never coming back. I'm like, did you not just see what I've just done? Do you know what I mean? Did these videos mean nothing? Do you know what I mean? I know obviously it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but I just thought it was quite weird because, I'm showing how much I've recovered, but still people didn't think that it was, there's no way he's coming back. His career's over. So it was a massive journey, but to finally get into the cage again, get the job done, get another win, break the losing streak, and, get in there, like I said, get in there, get the job done after everyone doubting me and thinking that I wasn't going to do it. Although I have to also admit there were a lot of people supporting me as well. So on the flip side, I did have a lot of people supporting me as well. So yeah, it's been a crazy journey, man. Crazy journey.
How are you preparing for Lee Chadwick's fight? To be honest, I was pretty much unhappy when I've seen that he's your comeback opponent, because knowing Lee Chadwick, it's very hard to knock him out.
Yeah, he's a very tough guy, very nice guy as well. I did speak to him afterwards. Like I say, absolutely lovely fella. But he's obviously very powerful, very good grappling. Strong hands, heavy hands, wants to get the overhands. And, he's beaten a lot of top guys, fought in Bellator, fought in PFL. Yeah, it was the only opponent that they could find, that's in the UK that would want to find me. So that would want to fight me, and as well on quite short notice. And, so I was even thinking myself, I'm like, am I going to fight on November 12th? Am I going to fight November 20th? Like, what's going to happen? And then, it just so happened that they managed to find him. And yeah, I knew he was a tough opponent, but at the same time, he was a very credible name, a pioneer of UK MMA, high up in the rankings. I thought, you win this, you're right back in the mix. So it's a good one to take. And, I just had to fight. I had to go in there fighting smart, I haven't really, opened up Pandora's box just yet. I haven't opened up the whole sequences, but it's good because, I still had to kind of be calm, be collected, do what I had to do. And it was a good opponent to go up against. I had the reach advantage, the height advantage. And I just used what I had to do to win the fight.
About that fight, many of my fans asked, so how is he going to look in the comeback fight? And I said, listen, when you come back from a knee injury, it's always 50-50. So I was expecting that you're going to backpedal and circle. That was my expectation, considering that he is a smaller and bigger guy. I was expecting that you're going to circle a lot. So was this a part of the strategy? Or?
Yeah, so I think I probably got it in my head that, a bit too much that, that we needed to keep it from range and stuff like that, because I can fight in the pocket, I can grapple. I just chose not to, I was winning the fight with my movement, getting out the way of his shots, landing my shots, then adding the low kicks in there. So yeah, the plan was to keep it at range. There's no need to get into an exchange or a brawl with a heavy-handed guy or a guy that's a very good grappler. So again, with the fight, my first fight back. So although I had these skill sets at my disposal, could I have done it? Yes, but probably chose not to, because your first fight back, you want to get the win. You just that's all you're thinking about. So it wasn't necessarily a big thing about me taking a lot of risks, but yeah, it was just to keep it at range, keep it in my long punches, and then yeah, we got in a couple of little exchanges. I landed a couple of shots in those exchanges, so did he. I landed my low kicks, landed a couple of the higher kicks. I thought some of the higher kicks would be disguised a bit better, but he was ready for that. He did come prepared for that. So my goal was to try and open up a little bit more. But yeah, again, if there's no need to grapple against a guy who's a good grappler with my comeback fight, what's the point? So, it ended up being a safer fight than what I normally do. But like I said, it got me the win. So that's all I needed was the win on the record. That was the main thing.
You fought southpaw few rounds in the fight against Lee Chadwick, and we all know that you're right-handed. Was it because of the knee, or it was also part of game plan, cutting angles, opening angles?
Yeah, well, in this day and age, mate, you need to be able to fight from both stances. For the guys who stay one-dimensional with one stance, I don't think at this point in time you are going to go very far, because, you see a lot of the guys who end up being the champions are the ones who do better, or the higher tier fighters. They can all switch stances. Examples such as Adesanya, Chimaev. You got guys that are Cyril Gane. You got guys at the very top of their game. Yeah, they have their main stances, but they can switch to both. And I knew it would confuse him. He said when I spoke to him afterwards that it was weird because he usually sees me in orthodox. So now I'm very comfortable from both. And if you can imagine, the whole time when I was able to actually move on my leg, that was in my head what I wanted to do. I was watching, Lomachenko, Usyk, these kind of guys, how their footwork from southpaw, and even Roberto Soldic, guys like this, watching their southpaw movements. And I was like, I want to imitate that. I want to be good at both. And me and my dad, we both sat down. We got the conversation going. And then next thing you know, we're doing everything from southpaw as well as orthodox, because it just gives you another layer where people aren't going to expect that layer of attack. So our plan worked. And of course, I'm going to be using that in future. The goal is to confuse the opponent as much as possible. So we definitely got one of those things in there.
Well, definitely ahead of the era. Also, my coach constantly criticizes me for a constant southpaw stance, but now I hurt my right shoulder, so now I don't have much of a choice. I must fight orthodox despite I hate it. Yeah, but it's hard, man. I don't know how you people, orthodox people, how you get into fighting from the opposite stance. It's so hard, man. I don't know how you get into that.
I think it wasn't quite as hard for me, because I see you doing it as well, actually, in some of your videos. It's quite cool with the changing your stances for the kicks. Now, I started as a kickboxer, but a lot of my style was the more flamboyant kicks where you do it from both stances, right? But I was only able to ever kick from both stances. I was never really able to box from both stances. It's quite hard to box from both stances, but if you can kick from both most of the time if you're a good kickboxer. So that was more what I had to do, was to learn how to box from southpaw. That's the hard part, because to move your feet in the correct positions, to put the weight in the right places is hard, obviously. But that's why I say I knew I could kick from both stances, but I didn't know I could box. So I had to, like I say, watch Usyk, watch Lomachenko, watch how they're moving, and then try and watch and see accordingly how I could do it. And it like I say, it paid off. But mate, if you can imagine, I did that from, I already started slowly, even with an injured leg, in about February to try and do that. And it's taken me till now to feel comfortable to box. And that's like almost a year, really. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a long time to learn how to do that. But I did it every single day. I'm talking every single day, moving in those stances, even teaching privates, doing boxing pads from southpaw. You know what I mean? Like, I was doing everything, just trying to make it as less awkward as possible.
Yeah, that's very, very hard part of the game. Got to say, I didn't even think that's that hard, especially like when I was watching you at Cage Warriors. I remember your championship fight, the last fight before the UFC. I think you didn't switch a stance in that fight. I think you fought orthodox every single time, or not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in UFC you were switching stances from time to time, but like in early stages of Cage Warriors, you were not doing that.
Yeah. And this is just something that I realized I had to change. And it's been an exciting journey having to learn how to do that. It's nice having to learn how to add different skills. Every time you learn something new, it's exciting. So yeah.
Yeah, but the greatest problem when you change the stance is the lack. I mean, my problem, I don't know whether it's yours, but probably yes, the lack of punch power with your right or left. In your case, it would have been probably left. In my case, the lack of power with right. I can hit, but no power.
It's just, do you know what it is? It's just weird. It feels awkward, and I think once you get your feet in the right place, the power comes. At first, you kind of think this is just, you're extending your body from a different angle, and it's your brain trying to catch up with your body's movements. And like I say, it just takes time, man. You literally, have to just do it so much. And then, but then the power, it comes. It comes when you finally start getting the rhythm. Once you've got the footwork right, then the power starts coming.
Can you tell me about your 10-4 against the fence? Did somebody show you that move, or like before you? I haven't seen it in the
UFC. To be fair, me and my dad actually, weirdly enough, we kind of worked on it because we knew we were going to fight wrestlers. So we kind of expected that a lot of them, they put their head on the side of the hip. They don't put their head in the middle, or they don't even really. Some fighters, some guys, like Colby Covington, they put their head in the middle, but most guys, they put it right on the hip. And you see a lot of times now, guys don't want to go on the hip anymore. They want to rise up to the body lock. And that's, and at that point, my dad was like, well, if we need to face wrestlers, we need to learn how to deal with them against the cage if they're going to try and hold us there. So we actually ended up having like a pad, like just putting a strike shield and just hitting it. And that was literally it. And then it's just learning how to get, like I say, the angle and the power to do that. And we just kept practicing it a little bit every single session. And then next thing you know, it just comes up in the fight like we'd been practicing. So yeah, like I say, practice makes perfect. And then, you've got to be ready for any type of scenario. And I'm lucky that my dad has those, he has those thoughts in his head when he's training me.
Well, when you're keeping your when you're keeping your legs pretty much wide against the fence, then you have a lot of space to equalize that move. Also, in one of training sessions, one of the guys tried to do that to me, and I started your 10-4, and he stopped. He was like, what are you doing? When did you see that? I just told him, come on, man, do you even watch UFC? He said, I didn't even know it's legal. I said, come on, man, everything is legal that hits deer, right?
Yeah, well, this is it. Everyone still gets weirded out about the rules and stuff like that. 12-6 is straight from up to down, not from the diagonal to the side. You know what I mean? It's like that the angle of where it's hit is like kind of around, not straight down, and it's not going to the all this crazy stuff, man. But hey, listen, it's part of the rule set, and people got to learn to deal with it. So.
But as much as I know, this is not illegal. This angle should be legal unless it's back to the head, right?
Yeah. I think everything, as long as it's not the back of the head, you're absolutely fine. Yeah.
Yeah, we were having some classes on that, but when they explain you, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, and it's kind of hard to get into the spirit of things. But for example, that was one of great techniques. So about the upcoming plans, I assume you had a fight. You are probably, you're probably still you know what I mean. So how are you feeling right now about the upcoming fight, about something said? Do you have some plans? I know you're still recovering, but...
No, to be honest, I just finished training with my dad before I spoke to you. I'm going to wrestling training in the evening. I'm back on the horse, man. I can't stay away from this game too much. I know I'm capable of so much more in the cage that I just want to get back and just want to keep improving, And listen, if there's an opportunity that will come in the near future, I've got to be ready. So they got a big card on New Year's Eve for Cage Warriors, and they're doing Team USA v Team Europe. So I've already called on other interviews that potentially I should be able to fight for the title against an American guy for that show. So I've called for it. Will I get it? I don't know. Maybe I'll just get a regular fight. Who knows? Who knows what they have in mind? But that's in my head. If I'm going to be fighting on New Year's Eve, if something comes up, then I've got to be ready. So that's why I said I was going to take a week off, but mate, I had enough time to eat as much food as I want and, have a bit of alcohol and whatever. But now I'm like, I just want to get back to it really. So I've already started training as normal today.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's always nice to get back into the winning column. Do you have some message for the fans? I will put this as a premiere tonight. I will send you exactly time.
Yeah.
I will create a story.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Do you have a message?
Just stay tuned. Stay tuned. This was a hell of a massive moment for me. It was a long time coming. There was a lot of hardships I had to go through. I had to get the win, so I had to play a little bit more safe than what I'd normally play. You know, it's my first decision victory since my debut. So, you know, I don't normally go to decisions. And now you lot can expect for the finishes to start coming up as I start opening up my game more. I felt amazing in the cage on my last fight. So I'm going to only feel even more amazing for the next one. And it's going to be explosive and entertaining, and that I can guarantee.
Thank you so much for this great interview. I will put this on premiere and hope to catch you again after a great victory. I mean, we expect you again in the UFC or Bellator. I don't know what you're planning, but one of those two will probably come up.
Oh, 100%, mate. Listen, the goal is to get back to the UFC. I feel I have unfinished business, and I know I've got the chance to do it. So I'm going to put all my efforts and abilities to get back to the UFC, and, you know, make that hell of a comeback story that I've been dreaming of and envisioning. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. But honestly, I thank you for always speaking to me, always having good conversations, always having me on your shows and everything, brother. It's always amazing talking to you.
Thank you, mate. My channel is growing. It will be very popular soon, I hope.
Nah, I love it, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the energy. I love the commitment. It's absolutely, it's honestly inspiring for me to see as well when you put up the numbers and everything. I love it, bro. I'm so happy for you. Keep it up, man.
Thank you, man. It's time to create the premiere now. So catch you later.
All right, nice one, brother. Take care, my man.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.